Let's see if that works. Let's see if everything's working. How to dismantle everything. Tap, 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 tap. Audio. How I could do this? Complete with new angle. I like this angle better. I like this setup better. You know? I guess I could zoom in just a hair, maybe tilt the camera down a little bit because we didn't put the rest there down there. Since I'm home and have nothing to do, maybe I should do that. What do you think? What do you think, guys? Yeah, everything was disassembled, so like I had to reassemble it. I'm not really supposed to be doing a show right now, peeps, but I'm freaking bored, okay? And I know you got to take care of your health. I know you got to listen to the doctor. I have been. Also caught the flu. You guys catch the flu? I know I look so small, don't I? It's an old setup. Angle is a little too wide. I'll zoom in a little bit more. Like I like the sitting angle, like I do. There's actually another spot which is right over there, which I think should be moved over there once I repackage my honey mead kit. That's out of here. I mean, I'll still give it away to neighbors for the holidays. I like it. I think it's like an art. Making mead. I also like to make cider. Uh, but priorities, priorities, priorities. You know, I didn't even message it. I didn't tweet this out. Um, I didn't do a whole lot. I mean, I guess I could right now. Should I? Yeah, let's do it. I'm bored, so I'm live. That's how we're gonna call it. That's what we're gonna call it here, folks. There's a couple. I'm looking at these things, and you know, I can't just sit. This is what I think got me involved in this space to begin with, which is that I never was somebody who could just sit around and do nothing, you know, say nothing, right? I just can't do it. I see something that I know is wrong or BS. I don't want to sound like some moralistic, but I know it's just BS. It's garbage. Then I got to say something. And for years, it's why I even started doing this publicly because I didn't at first. Modeled at university for fun. Um, Later, most definitely, and I still do some consultation and work. I guess you have to say Wall Street. It's Wall Street, They want to know how the political environment is going to go because, of course, they're wondering where to put their money, right? So, I mean, I never did it though. I never did it. I know Winston, but Daddy's busy right now. I never did it. Come here, you little man. Wanted to be a pollster for campaigns or, doing it like some schmuck on a website, like I ended up being. I never wanted to do that, but it's really the only way because as you're looking at it and as you're doing it, you're realizing all these like private people are getting much different information than what the public is getting. And that's just two worlds that rarely or never meet or know of each other's existence. So, I got started in doing that because I just always had this nagging thing like, God, they're so full of crap. God, they're so full of crap. God, they're so full of crap. And I got to say something about it. I got to do something and say something about it. So now here I am. And now I know why Laura zoomed it in the way she did because the top half wasn't done and she didn't want to go over there with it. All right. So, is what it is. Is what it is. Let me just do this. All right. So there's one thing I want to bring up. And I mean, I could sit on Twitter and go on and on about it, right? I could, but it's just easier to bring it up. Let's look at this video. I'm gonna pull it up first. God, I hate this website. Does Real Clear Politics have it going? If they got it going on, then I'd rather go on Real Clear. Hold on. Did they take it? They did not. And that's probably because nobody gives a damn what he has to say, but it bothers me. Um, there is one video on Real Clear. Okay. All right. So Carville's reacting to a bunch of other polls that came out. Do you remember when we were talking about before the election the tranches of pollsters, right? And in these tranches, you're going to have look, Reuters isn't a shit tranche. And we do the tranches to identify trends, and we do it to identify bias within the poll. All right. Now, that bias can only be proven or disproven based on the result of an election. It doesn't work the way 538 and Nate Silver thinks, or put into practice. And now we know why, by the way. A lot of these people are taking USAID money. So we could even call them USAID pollsters, right? Reuters, Ipsos is a USAID pollster. They would never be able to survive based on their track record. Morning Consult is a USAID pollster. Gallup is a USAID pollster. They have completely smeared and tarnished their reputation that George Gallup started from scratch, being the only and best, and then at one point the best, but the only show in town and also the best show in town to this. And if we go simply to Real Clear Politics, you will see two things very clearly happening. Okay? Let me show you. You have the USAID pollsters showing Trump with a negative approval rating, or very, very, very close, right? Quinnipiac, I don't know where they get their money from, but they suck, right? They got Pennsylvania right. They got everything else wrong. And actually, they heard it at the end, and they gave, even though they had Trump up in Michigan like the entire cycle, they gave Harris a lead, which was 4 points in a state she wound up losing by pretty comfortably, okay? Pennsylvania, they gave Trump a 1 point win. He went on to win that by more than double that margin, of course. The Washington Post, also now running with Ipsos. These are bad pollsters. Ironically, Reuters has the same data set. Now we're doing this. I want you to understand that the bullshit you always saw with YouGov is now being expanded into Ipsos. They're consolidating the marketplaces that so-called high-quality pollsters are allowed to get their responses from. You cannot go outside of a few in-house, meaning they're trusted by the media and the political class. Why are they trusted by them? They're not trusted by them. They know they're paid to produce a bullshit result. Ipsos is one of the worst panels that a pollster could use. Yet now they're using almost every other media company is using their panel except for those who use YouGov. And you will see something very similar with all their results. In fact, the Washington Post is using the same panel as Reuters, yet Reuters came up with a negative approval rating, an approval rating that was 4 points more negative. Yet you're still seeing the people who did a good job. And by the way, you'll notice Yahoo News is negative, but The Economist is positive. Doesn't make any sense, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't make any sense. It's the same data set. Meanwhile, with the pollsters who did a good job, Harvard Harris, all right, decent, more decent anyway. Emerson, us, Rasmussen, Robert Cahaley, F. Trafalgar, and let's throw Jason from Qantas in there. We are all showing roughly the same 6 to 8% approval rating, plus 6, plus 8. With right track, wrong track, very close to being positive for the first time in 20 years. In fact, you will see here, Rasmussen, which tracks daily as well, they are positive until I got sick. We were tracking basically daily. But Rasmussen, as you can see here, is positive for the first time in 20 years. For the first time since before the Great Recession. Gallup, look at them. Look at how far outside of the consensus they are. Maybe because they get $250,000 for Gallup Analytics. Gallup Analytics is a $2,000 a month product. One, by the way, that is not seeing the demand that it once saw. Once upon a time, a lot of people from Wall Street, analysts, and I'm talking about people like Wells Fargo. I mean, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan used to love to have stuff like this at his fingertips. From like them to media outlets and campaigns subscribe to Gallup Analytics. Of course, very few people do that anymore. So now they're getting your money. And they're getting your money and coming up with results that are inconceivable. Folks, they're just inconceivable. So here we are. All right. So I wanted to look at, that's what's fueling what I'm about to show you now, which is this interview that you have people, Democrats are like, oh God, I hope that. I absolutely hate ads. But let's go to this show, which we look at. Whoops, I made it too big too quick. Which we make, we drop in here and there just to see what they're saying. It's basically these two chaps. They love to talk. We all know Carville loves to hear his own voice. All right. But he has some good takes. However, he is also guilty of pushing the BS. He did it before the election. He pushed the BS polls. He pushed the BS takes. None of that was real. And of course, those of us were right. All right. So I just find this funny. Let's listen to this guy for a second here. Pop this up. And of course, the media gets all their polls out there. And now we get these talking points. It's so obvious. It's so obvious to those of us who actually poll honestly and actually poll correctly.
So you got a lot of Democrats who have been sort of yelling and screaming about a lot of these nominations, and in some cases, I think rightly so, and in other cases, I think it's been a bit overwrought. But it seems that the angrier Democrats get, the more it feeds into exactly what Donald Trump and Elon Musk and some of these other folks want, meaning Fox News plays sound bites of Democrats' heads exploding.
We're going to play a Fox soundbite in a second, in fact.
So what should they do from a media or political perspective?
Well, okay, I'm going to tease a piece I'm pretty sure will be coming out that I'm doing in the New York Times, probably Monday or Tuesday, but sometimes they'll kill it.
Okay. Okay. Did you just hear that? Do I have to elaborate on that? James Carville isn't anybody's anybody anymore. Nobody's calling James Carville to see whether or not, oh my God, they're going to run this thing about Bill. Can you kill it? Nobody's calling James anymore. Incestuous shit, dude.
But what I've said very publicly is Democrats need to play possum. This whole thing is collapsing. It doesn't need Elizabeth Warren and somebody screaming to pacify some progressive advocacy groups in Washington, which, by the way, I wish these people were just useless. They're actually worse than useless, that they're detrimental. And they never, ever learn to shut up. And so, Dan, this is what I believe. I believe that this administration, in less than 30 days, in the midst of a massive collapse, and particularly a collapse in public opinion. Della Volpe at Harvard, who's very good. I used to think, once I saw a Harvard youth poll, I discounted it. I've come to say it's a pretty damn good poll. Pretty good guy. He's gone from 53 approval to under 30 to 39. That's a collapse.
Where the hell did he get that from? Consistently enough, President Trump's approval rating has been held up by younger people. Younger people. When his approval started to fall in our polling, it came from 65 plus. More specifically, 65 to 74. Not 75 and above, but 65 to 74. I don't know where that's coming from. But if you look at the last several polls, which we're going to play a clip from somebody who actually conducted one in a second, you'll see that he's actually doing fairly well still with young voters, which is upside down. And I'm not sure that they know how to deal with it. I'm not sure. So they return to the sound bites. And if you look at some of these, if you look at some of these issues, then you will, you'll see why. But again, he'll actually address it. So I don't want to jump the gun here. I'll just shut up and let's finish playing the rest of it. But actually, do we need to? Because I don't have that much time. We really don't need to play the rest of it. I guess here's what I want to say before even doing that. Is James Carville qualified at this point to know whether is he qualified to proclaim a collapse? Everything that he said before these elections and his takes on everything, he said some good stuff, but did he not push the same bullshit polls that suggested Kamala Harris was going to win by either running through the Rust Belt or running through the Sun Belt or all these miraculous scenarios that his favorite pollsters put out there? Of course not. I don't want to say he's irrelevant. The left, they do that themselves. Like every time he comes out with a take that's actually pretty good, you'll see the left attack him and say, "You're irrelevant, old man. Shut the hell up." Harris's one of Harris's top guys can't stand James Carville. Could not stand him at all. In fact, he went out there and went to the microphone and said, "Well, go home. We're still counting votes." He thinks he's a dinosaur. So bottom line is, look, everyone's got a right to talk and everybody's got a right to say something. But his old colleague just polled Donald Trump's approval rating and had Donald Trump positive 9 points. 9. All right. So without further ado, actually, let's play a clip from him. More clips, the better. What do you mean you don't know where I am? Oh, the boss is looking for me. The boss is looking for me. You better not be on a stream. No, baby. No, not on a stream. All right. Here's Mark Penn from, of course, he jointly conducts the Harvard-Harris poll. And he's on with Laura Ingraham. And it's like, I think I heard it and I thought the same thing. These people are very disconnected. And if you want to take his approval rating down with young people, this isn't the way to do it. I don't have to give them advice. I'm certainly not on their payroll, but it's ridiculous. I'll let Mark speak for them. He is a Democrat. He can say what he wants to say, but it's just absurd with the numbers that they have, how you could possibly try to do what James Carville is trying to do again, which is bury your head in the sand and pretend as if nothing's wrong. And pretend, oh yeah, it's going to be a collapse. I mean, folks, there very well could be one. But what I'm saying right now is this is a normal decline from a all-time high because of a honeymoon period after being sworn in as president. That happens. We have honeymoon periods, but there is no evidence that the man's in a collapse. And there's no evidence that the Gallups and the YouGovs and the Ipsos is just garbage. There's no evidence other than they're doing the same shit they always do. You have to understand, Quinnipiac and the rest of them, none of them had retrospective approval ratings at 50 or 52%, like those of us who polled this election correctly did find. They never got there. So what makes them even qualified to continue to poll this person? Some of these pollsters have been so bad at polling this guy and his support, nobody should care at all what they think. But again, we have to acknowledge there is only one reason why they are doing this. This is a scam. This is a scam where they send your money to these shitty pollsters and these shitty media companies so that they can put out shitty numbers. This is a total scam. And honestly, so many other pollsters who are doing a good job still have yet to take that step and walk over the line and say what I just said. They'll say it privately. Everybody knows what's going on. Ipsos is not real. It's garbage propaganda. It's not real. And apparently it's been going on for a very long time. Go look at their polling on Brexit. Don't you find it funny that all of these people who get this money have routinely and consistently been on the wrong side of these elections and these referendums and these issues year in and year out, cycle in, cycle out, election in, election out? It's not real. I want to work myself up here. Let's go.
For Democrats. And it's because Democrats are doing nothing for the American people. Joining me now, Matt Towery, political analyst, and Mark Penn, former Clinton advisor. Both are pollsters. Mark, let's start with you. Let's start with the Democrats first. Why are they failing to connect with the American people a month into this administration?
Well, I've got some new polling coming out Monday that I've just looked at. And frankly, the Democratic Party is falling off a cliff.
All right. Stop. Stop. I rest my case. Today is Monday. It is Monday. When he said that, I'm like, of course. I just gave a speech on Saturday, and when I looked at the numbers that I didn't even get a chance to fully process yet, I just wanted to process it for the audience that I was speaking to. I was like, well, give me favorability and give me approval of the Democratic Party, which you guys are going to start to get now too. I have never had it this low. Never. And Republicans are in the 40s, which is not bad for them. They're never positive. Typically, they're lower than Democrats. And the reason why is they're more negative. Their spread is worse. And the reason why is not because the electorate isn't more Republican. It's because their own base hates their own politicians. You don't see that with Democrats. So what's driving what Mark is talking about now, he sees the same thing. The numbers are almost identical. It's obviously universal opposition from Republicans, and now independents at a place where they're like, these people are crazy. It's the one thing James Carville said that was true, which is that he wishes sometimes that these same people just shut up. What he doesn't understand is there aren't enough people in his party anymore, like Mark or like Dan. They don't exist. Or like Rui or Matt Iglesias. They are a tiny, tiny minority in the party leadership and in the elected leadership of the party. DNC, the DCCC, within the framework of the electeds and the activist base, if you poll Democrats, there are a lot of them who are like, wait a minute. That's women beating. That's not civil rights. That's a crazy guy who thinks he's a girl beating the shit out of a woman. Like, why can't you see that? But they're grossly outnumbered. They have more in common with the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, who has more in common with like a Bill Clinton than they ever had in common with like Barack Obama. Obama, things he ran on was bullshit. He ran on a fake platform how many times? This is a man who ran on traditional marriage, not once, but twice. Now he'd be for Lou Ferrigno being able to compete in a bodybuilder or some kind of physical contact sport if Lou Ferrigno had said back then he was a woman, identified as a woman. Not to mention the policies themselves are awful. They were awful. This isn't debatable. The government lied about any shred of positive economic data that we got. It's all being revised, just like it was under Obama. Oops, wage growth wasn't that high. Oops, there weren't that many jobs created. Oops, looks like we did lose that much more manufacturing than expected. Ditto construction. But don't worry, government and healthcare keeps growing. Get another job. Like, there are two worlds here. There's the USAID, I get paid to poll and put out bullshit world. And then there's the other world of those of us who actually poll elections correctly. We're living in different times now. If you thought 16 or 20 were like pivot points in the media space and the polling space, you have to put that aside. This Doge stuff confirms something way worse to me. It's like WikiLeaks confirming that the media works with the Democratic Party times 100 and then shot in the ass with steroids. It's all a lie. It was never real. All of the gray hairs that I have on top of my head, wondering how on earth they're coming up with these numbers. How is it possible? What are they doing wrong? It was all for nothing. They're not doing anything wrong because they're getting paid to put out bullshit. They're intentionally wrong. They're trying to manifest numbers for public opinion instead of just simply gauging public opinion. This is where I am now. And you should all be there too, because that's where it is. That's where we are. Folks, that man's approval rating was almost 20 points positive at the height of this thing. He was mid to high double digits, teens, damn near 20% approve. Now, it's a honeymoon. You'd expect it to fall. But it hasn't fallen to lower than approve plus 6 the entire time we polled. Entire time. And by the way, these are the numbers the Wall Street firms who pay the big bucks are getting. These are the numbers because they know it's true. Because they want the real numbers. They don't want horse shit. They don't want propaganda. They just want the truth. So they can make money. Let's go back to Mark.
The ratings, which were in the high 40s, are going to be like 35%. And I think the basic question, who's doing better job as president, Biden or Trump? Trump is winning that with 57%. I think you're seeing a retrospective assessment of Biden and the direction the Democratic Party was going.
This is the real
really
deal.
A lot more negative than it was on election day. And they're looking at the contrast on immigration, on economic policy,
oh my God,
on some of the social policies. And boy, they're reevaluating. In the Democratic Party, I have never seen anything like this. This is a record low for the Democratic Party in terms of favorability. It has fallen really, really way down. And I don't think there's any leadership right now that's going to be able to bring that back.
Well, and CNN was all excited, Matt Towery, the other day, because in a few polls, Trump's numbers declined a little bit. Okay, so
yes,
like,
but they never had him.
His numbers are falling; they're slipping.
Where they really were.
What do we know really about the current state of Trump's approval, his approval on the economy, and just the direction of these policies?
Well, I think, first of all, Mark framed it right. Where is Trump vis-a-vis Biden? And he's way ahead. That's something that gets hidden in these stories. The second thing is you have a lot of the pollsters who could not poll Trump well
Yo,
during any of his election cycles, coming out
Amen.
suddenly saying what his approval rating is. Whereas you get someone like Harris, which Mark is involved with, or Insider Advantage, or Trafalgar, or others, Atlas, we're more likely to get his approval right. And I think his approval rating is somewhere between 6 and 10 points above. In other words, a plus 10 or more. Whereas these media groups are trying to say that he's down 3 or he's down 4. That is just not borne out by the facts I've seen or the numbers I've seen or numbers I've seen from other pollsters who I really respect. And I think the Trump team knows this is coming. They know there's going to be this big play of saying, oh, he's suddenly becoming unpopular. They're going to try to drive a wedge between him and Elon. It's not working.
Okay,
Mark,
is he going to touch on this?
Van
Hold on.
Jones
Here we go.
is trying his best to drive a wedge between Trump and Elon Musk. So this was kind of an interesting moment. Watch.
You unleash somebody who's doing theatrics and abandoning his own children and having some weird fantasy in front of everybody to be popular. Just do whatever he wants to do with no oversight. That is anti-American, and it's reckless and it's wrong.
Anti-American. Reckless and wrong.
Explain that one for me, Mark.
What the hell is he talking about?
Volunteering his services.
Well, I really don't understand the Democratic strategy, frankly, of going after Musk.
Here we go.
There's overwhelming support for cutting government spending. Overwhelming, you're talking 70% plus numbers saying that that's waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, Musk himself has about an even personal rating, but the mission that he's on is really seen as one that America needs to do.
And Matt, do you agree with that? Musk is popular, correct?
With young people.
The thing. A lot
with
of
young
have asked the
people.
question, do you think Elon Musk should have a great deal of influence in the White House? That's not the question to ask. The question is, do you approve or disapprove of what he's done so far?
Yeah.
And when you ask that question, he's up by 5 or 6 points. And among Republicans, which, by the way, the media was trying to say they were all leaving him in the polls as well, he's at almost 79, 80%. So Musk is not a problem for Donald Trump right now. And the show they're putting on right now is working.
Yeah, people are enjoying the
GG. All right, good enough. All right, let's stop it. Don't play the other thing. Don't play it. All right, there it is. So I think both of them said something that is, oh dear God, shut up. Oh dear God, please don't. Donna Brazile, still on television. Leaks debate questions to the Hillary Clinton campaign, still on television. Absolutely zero accountability. By the way, I will say this. Donna Brazile, I've had interactions with her. She is I'm going to go ahead and say it. She's a very nice woman. At least she is personally, I'm saying. She's a nice woman. She's a one of those people where, personally, really nice to be around. I mean, I don't know how she reconciles her beliefs and the things she does with the values that it sounds like she personally harbors and her own faith and everything like that. But with all that being said, nice or not nice, you have to be held accountable when you do something very, very bad. And she did something very bad to the point where I'm not talking about a week off or whatever. She should have been Look at what it takes to get somebody like me or Dan Mitchell blacklisted from Fox News. Simple. You pull a vaccine question, you're done. You criticize Fox News, you're done. You're never going back on Fox again. Mark, he went on after being blacklisted for a while. They asked him to come back on. They threw a different segment in his face than what they told him they wanted to have him on for and what he was allowed to talk about, which was his own stuff. And instead they wanted to parade the Wall Street Journal poll in front of him because, of course, who does the Wall Street Journal poll? Murdoch Inc. and Tony Fabrizio, who, by the way, some people in Trump loyalists are getting skeptical of, as well they should. It's about time. Anyway, Yeah, you can't, because you can't be the president's pollster, AARP's pollster, and a bunch of other candidates pollsters, and then, by the way, the Wall Street Journal's pollster, and somehow with Anzalone you're getting different results than you're giving the president. It's bullshit. You can't do that. Blake Masters, he gets you're just on the heels and do this and you're gonna win, and AARP gets you're gonna lose. Mark Kelly's gonna beat Blake Masters by 5 to 8 points. Like, bullshit. I'm sorry I'm using that word so much today because there is so much of it going around. So thankfully, some people are starting to get a whiff of bullshit now from that side, and it's about time. Anyway, Mark is like, we outperformed that poll. And by the way, we didn't bounce all over the place. Harris +3, Trump +1, this plus that. Trump was always ahead. We always had him ahead, and that's it. Blacklisted again. Yet she can leak debate questions to a presidential candidate from a major media network or the sponsoring network or the host network and be back on them and competitors within a month. I'm just moving forward with the obvious assumption. Not assumption, no, conclusion. We have dropped all pretenses over here. Most of my peers are not competitors. They're propagandists. They're opponents of mine. Once upon a time, I thought of them as competitors. Fairly recently. That is no longer the case. They can't compete with me. That's the truth. I think Matt and Mark said it well. Who the hell are they? Who are they to proclaim anything? They can't pull this guy. Even if they weren't getting paid to put out garbage, they still wouldn't be able to do it. We'll tell you when he's in a collapse. The guy who got his support within 0.1%. The one and only one who had the correct margin for North Carolina the entire cycle. The one and only one who said how bad it was going to be in Florida. Not just that it was going to be bad. It was going to be very bad. The one who showed Michigan actually going for Trump by a slightly larger margin than Wisconsin was going to. And the one who questioned it the entire time. The one who saw the retrospective approval rating first. The support with young people. If they couldn't even see that support, they're going to tell us it's collapsing? What a joke. Ditto black voters. Ditto Hispanic voters. What makes them some authority all of a sudden? They couldn't poll them to begin with. When I say he's in a collapse, he's in a collapse. And not before. And that's the privilege I'm going to take at this point, moving forward. Because not only have I been right, I've been right for free, basically. Nobody's sending USAID money over here to pay for the public polling project, which does this country a greater service than any of them have ever done in this entire space in their entire existence. If you were a Democrat, you could come here and hear the truth. If you were a Republican, you could come here and hear the truth. It didn't matter if Trump was going to beat Hillary, you heard the truth. It didn't matter if Biden was ahead in the Rust Belt by a hair, and that was probably going to give him the election, you were going to hear the truth. And it didn't matter if Donald Trump was wiping the floor with both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris the entire freaking cycle, You were going to come here and hear the truth. And that was always the truth of 24. No bullshit James Carville pumped out or Ipsos pumped out or any of the media outlets who buy that bullshit panel and all their stupid headlines pumped out. The AP with their Clinton plus 14s and Biden plus 15s. Go look it up. Oh, sorry. You can't actually, because they've deleted the link to the PDFs of their polls. I kept them though. Thank you, Wayback Machine. Poof. We never did that. What are you talking about? CNN. Gillum plus 12. Poof. Doesn't exist anymore. It's now Gillum plus 3. Go click on it. Think I'm kidding? None of this is real. They're wrong on purpose because they're liars. Because they're paid off, bought and paid for, soul-selling liars. And I'm the criminal. They're the real criminals, right? The Godfather, right? What did he always say? The more legit you get, the more criminals you find. Something like that. Godfather lovers, come on, help me out. What did Michael say in Godfather 3? What did he tell his sister? Right? He told her, come on, locals. I know you guys know this. You know? Yeah, Rush was right the whole time. May he rest in peace. Rush Limbaugh was right the entire time. And I remember Rush bringing me up 2 times during presidential cycles. Of course, he was gone by this. He did not get to see Trump's triumphant return and historic comeback we have not seen since, like, I don't know, you know. Yeah. But he had said when he first cited a poll that we did in 16, he was citing the tracking poll. He went through my Twitter feed on air and basically said, this poor bastard. I kid you not. And I remember my wife going, you know, Rush Limbaugh's talking about you right now. And I'm like, no way. Because we weren't together. I was at the office. She was at her office. She didn't work with me at the time. She worked for the school. And I turned it on. And by the way, she was the boss, so she got to play whatever she wanted. And she played Rush Limbaugh in her office where everyone had to hear it. So that's Laura. So she calls me. Rush is talking about you right now. And I tune in just in time to hear him go, this poor bastard. Look at him. Oh my God, this is a greenhorn. Because I'm like, I think maybe they're just wrong because they're doing this. And he's like, oh my God, this poor bastard, this poor guy. He doesn't know that it's all intentional bullshit. He doesn't know. And it's not that I didn't know. Of course I did. I just thought that, like, it wasn't this bad. There was hope for redemption for the industry. I did back then. I thought all I have to do is be right. They're going to be wrong and they're going to be embarrassed, and that's going to be it. I did think that in 2016. I did. And it was an experimental project. The entire point was based on me trying to show people whether I was more right or more wrong than another pollster really wasn't, or pollsters in general, really wasn't my goal. My goal was to show people that in truth, public opinion does not change as dramatically as public opinion pollsters from media outlets and university funded by grants. Now we know where they're coming from. As they suggest, that's not how public opinion works. So we don't live in that kind of world anymore, at least not now. Once upon a time, it could swing dramatic, but for presidential elections, who are you going to vote for? Who is going to vote can change more than how people intend to vote. Barnes and I told you guys that in truth, people were pretty locked in on Trump in 16. Like they just needed him to meet a bar. And he always had the advantage over Hillary in the Electoral College. The same was true, and even more so, in 2024. He was already a president. Those votes were locked in. What Mark Penn just said was right. The retrospective now, it was with them then. Like they were watching the job he did, and it was just retrospective toward how Trump had done the job. And they were weighing this, making this A-B comparison, the way I told you over and over and over and over. And they were like, damn, man, I'll be damned. They're liars. Donald Trump was a way better president. They always believed that. That always gave him the advantage. But now I'm just 2020. I had really lost faith. A few select people. I figured COVID could have messed them up. It did. It screwed panels up. Every orange man bad. Click the button. Mental case on Valium was signing up for these online marketplaces. I don't even want the money. Just let me click orange man bad all day. They had nothing to do. And it polluted and tainted the panels. Took a long time for them to recover. It's still, I'm not sure, is fully recovered. Mark and I talk about this all the time. I don't think it's fully recovered. I think you need to guard your panel like crazy, and you have to do data appends or deduping. You've got to data append at least the vast majority of your sample. Because a lot of those people aren't real voters. They're like not going to vote. The panels, when you select, I only want registered voters. Do you know how they're doing that? It's not from deduping or data appending against the voter file, folks. It's from when the people sign up for the panels, they fill out a profile questionnaire. They're told to fill in as much information about themselves as possible, including things like education. Guess what? Voter registration status. It's a self-reported status. You have any idea how many times we match against the voter file and these people who say they're registered to vote are not registered to vote? A lot. They just want the gift card, man. So I thought maybe that's it. To some, not all, to some, I was willing to give that benefit to. They proved unworthy of it. Now, after this, I remember texting back and forth with Robert Cahaley going, this is not like I see a bias, a social bias, and I'm concerned about it. I think it's probably likely Trump won by a much bigger margin. I do. I mean, he won comfortably, but Democrats cheat. Can we also drop the pretense with that? They cheat a lot. Is the FBI indicting imaginary people from Philadelphia to Atlantic City? Those are recent cases. Forget about the district attorneys that had to chase around Democratic operatives in Pennsylvania this entire time. One based in Arizona, by the way. Another organization getting caught in Bucks County, and others knocking on doors just to make sure that the change of address flagged record that is associated with that address is actually truly not there. Why? Why would you do that? Because you want to take their ballot, fill it in yourself, and hand it in. And you don't want that person to request that absentee ballot. So you're ensuring that person is not there and will not do it. It is a true change of address flag. It's low-hanging fruit for cheaters, and they pluck it. We're going to get a lot less politically correct in this show because I'm over this shit. I don't know about you guys. I'm over it. In fact, I have concluded that it is an evil to even pretend to go along with this stuff. It's evil. You're at least enabling evil. No more benefits of the doubt. No more. Sure as hell, no more political correctness, CD. Done. We're done. I mean, I knew they were going to do this. It just never ceases to amaze me how absolutely disgusting and corrupt they are. That goes for you too, Gallup. We all know why you don't poll the horse race business anymore. You guys know this? Can we just come out with it? Everyone knows the Obama Justice Department threatened you out of the industry and you caved like a bunch of biatches. All because of a Romney +1? You thought they were going to hang a noose around your neck with that? Cowards. That's fine anyway. Probably best that a better pollster is the only one who still tracks daily, publicly, for public consumption. Of course, I'm talking about Mark and Rasmussen. They don't poll horse races because if they did, you would have saw a big fat Harris +4 for the popular vote, and nobody would give two shits about their approval rating right now. Unbelievable horseshit. Unbelievable horseshit. 45% approve. Guys, I couldn't put it to 45% unless I made all of my indies, metro indies, which would require nested rake weighting tactics. So I mean like regrouping the variables from area type and geo weight variables in with ideology and skewing it way more than it should be. It's hard for me to find approval for Donald Trump among Democrats less than double digits. So even weighting up Democrats alone doesn't do it. I'm trying to explain to you the statistical gymnastics that these people are freaking hurtling through in order to come up with the horse shit that they're coming up with. And Marquette, do they take shrooms over at that university? Are they high on psychedelic fungus all day? Maybe they should go to Dartmouth College and partner with Dartmouth. And they can find Harris +30s together in New Hampshire or something. Like, I don't know. And Wisconsin. They can take turns polling the Badger State and the Granite State and coming up with these absolutely ridiculous results. Folks, that pollster was 28 points wrong. Who cares what they think? And honestly, RCP, stop putting the bullshit on the website without an asterisk next to it. Everybody should have an indicator next to them when they're on Real Clear Politics that says whether or not they were even remotely close to being accurate last cycle. Accurately predicted the winner nationally, accurately predicted the winner in the battleground states. Within the margin of error. And there should be warning signs next to them with a little link that says check out your track record. Because Ron DeSantis doesn't want Byron to be the next governor. We all know who he wanted to be the next governor. And if he can't get her, you'll get somebody else from his side of the party. He wants to be able to hold the power, not the Trump movement. Well, you lost, Ron, and you're the governor, and that's true. But you lost, buddy. The president is the leader of the party. However, I will say this. Factually, I agree with Ron DeSantis. Holy shit. It's the end of an era. Now, I agree with him on a lot. I just hold him personally accountable for the smears they ran against me. As I should. It's his campaign. Just like I hold who I once thought to be personal friend accountable for the smears that his organization that supported Ron DeSantis ran against me. My kids saw that shit. Not that they don't know. Not that they don't know this world. But still. Anywho, Ron is right. There isn't a majority in Congress to be doing this with. Congress hasn't done much. Tomorrow is a very, very, very important day. I was talking to Congressman Mark Harris tomorrow. If they get this motion passed, they will have a shot to reduce the size of government more than anyone has done in our lifetime. Tomorrow is a very, very, very important vote, important day. And if you guys are into that sort of thing, you should burn up the phones with your representatives. And ultimately, will have to be your senators too. But you should be burning up the phones. They need all the help they can get. I mean, he flatly said the best thing you could do is tell people to put pressure on. Mark's doing a good job over there, as I knew he would last year when we had the same dinner together. There are people I respect more than just the positions they even hold, because obviously I don't always agree with them on everything. I don't. But I respect people who are representative. All right. There's being a representative, and then there's being representative. I have zero respect for politicians who are two-faced, backstabbing pieces of you know what, who tell voters everything they want to hear when they're running to win, and then go and stab them in the back the first chance they can get. Oh, this is how the town works. No, it's the way the town works because you're folding to it. You ever hear of a spine, a backbone, being a leader, not a follower? Like, what the hell did you learn when you were a child? Where is your character? And Mark is doing what he said he would do. And he knows that sometimes he's going to take a hit. But he's doing it because that's the right thing to do. And I respect that about a man. We go. Yeah, I got to put those bottles away. And it's a shame, too, because aren't they kind of like a cool... Look at, you can shake the bottle. But they are kind of like a cool... Yeah, that'd be neat. We're going to have built-in shelves put up because there's like memorabilia stuff that I want to start showing. It'd be cool. I like the idea because it would be cool. Backdrop. I don't think the suction thing is going to work. We're going to actually like go into the wall. I should have built this place with floating shelves. Like everything I didn't listen to my wife about, I regret. I just couldn't I'm like, no, that just sounds stupid. And we can get it done later. The general contractor is going to trade. Just do it. I mean, some stuff that's true. But what you'll find is it's very hard to find people who want to work. I know it's 3:16. Laura's going to come and start yelling at me soon. Okay. Yeah, I got a boogie woogie. Tomorrow, if I'm not totally out of breath and can't speak, sound good? Yeah, I mean, I'm not supposed to be, I'm supposed to be resting, but I can't do this forever, and every day I'm feeling better and better anyway. There'll be some days where I can't do it. I'm supposed to take an extended thing soon, but the flu gave me an extended thing. By the way, with this flu, if you feel like you're getting better and then you have something to do, especially if you have to leave and you'll be gone for a while and you can't just like chill and relax whenever you want, take that one more day. Trust me. Just take the one more day because I needed it and I felt like I was on the verge of a relapse. All right. Yeah. So I never get the flu. I've gotten the flu in 20 years. It's because I couldn't eat for over a week with other things, obviously. Flu doesn't do that to you. But I couldn't eat, and it lowered my immune system, and it got me. And I was just around a bunch of sick people from home to the hospital, constant. Boom, boom, sick one coughing. And then when the girls went to competition, I stayed with the little guy, and he had the flu. We got the test, but it was flu A. That's how we know it's the same thing. He's better, though. Kids are resilient. No, I don't give him the damn flu mist. I tried giving my oldest son the flu mist once for school, and he got the flu. I mean, I'm like, fuck this, man. Sorry, but I'm not doing it. He's a young, healthy boy. Screw this. That was it. I haven't done it in years. Meanwhile, I got the school calling because he was supposed to get a vaccine the day he actually went to the doctor to get the vaccine. We got him tested for flu because he was so sick. And we're like, oh, hell with this. I'm not giving him that vaccine shot now. They act like polio is rampant or something. And actually, he has his polio shot, but it was like something else, guys, like not RSV or something else that he just did not need to be injected with at that time. So, of course, they call today. He didn't ever get that vaccine. No, dummy. He had a 104 fever from the flu. I was not going to give him the stupid ass vaccine that he doesn't really need right now. Stay tuned. He can't stay in school without it. Yes, he can. And he will. And he is, by the way. So I got my way. Kiss my ass. I'm not putting some God knows what running around, whatever, dead, alive, whatever, running around in a 5-year-old that's got 104-degree fever. I'm just not doing it. My concern is his fever. And by the way, those vaccines tend to give kids a fever, even if you just do one at a time, which we do. Almost all my kids spike a fever briefly when they get a vaccine. Then they go on with their day because they're not sick. It's just that they're getting a fever from it. And then it goes away. There's no chance I was adding anything that could increase his fever anymore. And there he is. Tracy, I love comments like that. I do. Thank you. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. It's just that unfortunately, the reality is in this business, you can't take that much time off. You can't. It does look like we got a lot of cool, like, private stuff either set up or that could be set up. I very much enjoy some of the private projects we do, especially the stuff, juror profile stuff. I think it's my favorite. I really do. Really do. And then potentially I should just keep my mouth shut now. That's certainly not in stone anyway, but could be kind of cool and you'd love it. All right, it's 3:20. I got to go. Nothing but love for you guys. As always, give you a big fat deuces and I'll see you tomorrow if I can breathe. Sound good? Sound good. Do we have the thank you thing? The thank you banner? Hell. I guess I don't. Yes, no. Yes, no. I'll have to get that banner. All right, so I'll just have to hit the blank thing. Very generic today. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys. See you tomorrow. All the best.